Shalom. My name is Moreh IshiYAH Yisrael from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. Shalom, and praise the mighty Yah. Welcome to another program of 40 minutes or less. In this 40 minutes or less program, we will deal with lesson 59, which is the science of the scriptures. What do the word science mean? It means knowledge. So really it's the knowledge of the scriptures. But what scriptures? Knowledge of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. In other words, Yahweh, the creator of the heaven and the earth, is the true scientist of the universe, of the world. Although many of the imposters, the so-called wise men of the earth, the so-called scientists of the earth, they will tell you that we cannot prove the authority of the Most High. We cannot prove his existence, and that there is an Elohim that made all things. But we're going to prove that today and tomorrow and the next day, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt in 40 minutes or less, because it don't even take 40 minutes to prove the words of Yahweh. Oftentimes, considerably less it will take, as you will see. We're going to talk about this science of the scriptures. Creation itself. First, you got to understand creation before you get into the details of the very things he created. Because understanding his creation is to understand him. And I want you to see him. But there's certain things I want you to see first. One of the greatest sacrifices you can make to the Most High is written in the book of Hosea. Watch what it says in the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter. In the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter, the 6th verse, for I desire mercy and not sacrifice, the knowledge of Elohim more than burnt offerings. And as I told you before, all science is knowledge. But it's knowledge on the very universe, the very world that Yahweh made. Yahweh made everything. So anytime you're talking about Yahweh and you're talking about his creation, you're talking about science. And I'm going to prove that to you. Furthermore, in this same Hosea, the 4th chapter, this is what it says in the 6th verse. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim, I will also forget thy children. In other words, the Creator is letting us know how important knowledge is. It's not just one of the greatest sacrifices you can make, but according to the Most High, we're destroyed for lack of knowledge. This is how all the other various people, all the other various nations of the earth, this is how they able to trick you. This is how the religions are able to deceive you because you lack knowledge. And so you put your interest, your energy in things that are vanity and things that cannot profit you. But I'm going to show you what can profit you and the knowledge you need to have that will benefit you. The last scripture on that is in the book of Proverbs, the 14th chapter. And watch this in Proverbs 14. In the book of Proverbs 14. And this is what it says, starting at the 6th verse. It says, a scorner seeketh wisdom. And you know what a scorner is. A scorner is somebody that's always got some negative, mocking thing to say against people. They seek wisdom and findeth it not. Yahweh is not going to give a scorner his knowledge. But watch what it says. But knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth. So this knowledge, as they would say, it don't take a rocket scientist to understand these things. Anyone that is sincere, wholehearted, can understand everything that I will show you. Everything that I will teach you. Because it's not my words. It's the word of Yahweh. And you about to be introduced to Yahweh in every way. Now watch this about the Most High. Show you how he thinks and how he do things. You say, well, how you know how he think and how he do things? Well, you about to see. Watch this in the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter. Because there's 3 things you're going to learn tonight. 3 real important things. The first thing you're going to know and learn, whether you believe it or not, I'm going to prove it to you. So you don't, I prefer you not to believe it. I prefer you to be a skeptic. Watch this. In the very Genesis that you don't believe in, the 1st chapter, the 1st verse, it says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. He did this in the beginning. Well, how do you know he did this in the beginning? Well, we're going to show you that. But the first thing you need to understand is only Yahweh proclaiming this thing. No man has proclaimed to create nothing. He's the creature and not the creator. Yahweh proclaimed this because Yahweh can prove that he's the only one that did it. Watch this. Not only in the beginning he created the heaven and the earth. Watch this. In this same Genesis, the 1st chapter, in the 21st verse. And Elohim created great whales and every living creature that moveth with the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. Yeah, Yahweh created this. And then not only that, watch the 27th verse. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And we're going to prove all that. But what do the word created mean? Well, it comes from the Hebrew word bara. And all this means is when Yahweh began to create these things, he imagined it. He thought it. It came into his mind. That's how you begin to create. You don't create things without thinking about it, imagining it, and letting it go through the process of thought. There is no thought without action. And if there's action before thought, I can assure you that action is not going to be good. Not good at all. But thought is the process of doing. And let's show you the next process. He created, which means he imagined it, he thought about it, he processed it in his mind. And yes, Yahweh have a mind. Yes, Yahweh have thoughts. Watch this. Not only he went through this process of creation, going back to Genesis, the first chapter, watch the 7th verse. So remember created. The 7th verse says, and Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. In other words, this is when he made the firmament. And what do the word made mean? Well, I'm about to let you know. But watch the 16th verse. And Elohim made 2 great lights. The greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. Also the 25th verse. And Elohim made the beasts of the earth after his kind, cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good, because he made these things. And then the 31st verse. And Elohim saw everything that he had made. Because how many things did he make? Everything. That's why Yahweh is able to explain everything. That's why he's able to go into detail about everything, which we will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. And what do the word made mean? Well, the word made comes from the Hebrew word asa, which means to work, which means to do. See, you can't make something without doing something. And Yahweh, he start working after he imagined, after he processed his thoughts in his mind, put everything to thought, he began to make. And he made these things. And not only that, he didn't just create, he didn't just make. Watch this in the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, the 7th verse. Show you the 3rd thing that Yahweh would do. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground. He didn't just create man. He made man, and he formed man of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Because he formed him. And not only he formed man, watch the 8th verse. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Yeah, he put him in a garden. Because that's what Yahweh do when he formed. And I'm going to let you know what this word form means. Furthermore, what about the 19th verse? It says, Genesis 2:19, and out of the ground Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Because the word formed comes from the Hebrew word yasar, which means to fashion like a potter. In other words, now you begin to design the very thing you make. And you can't make nothing without first putting it to thought, without first putting it into your imagination, without first putting it in your mind. So he created. Then he began to work. But then he fashioned this thing. He formed this thing. He pottered this thing. As the scripture said he would do. Because that's the way of the Creator. You think about it. You imagine it. Then you start working. Then you start forming and designing and putting it all together. Also in this book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, watch what the Creator says. In the very first verse. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the 7th day, sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. Because he didn't just create. That's just thinking about it. That's just imagining. But he started working. And he did this. Not his angels, not his spirits. They had to be made. They had to be formed. They had to be imagined for Yahweh to do all this. Furthermore, not just there, watch the 4th verse of this same chapter, Genesis 2. These are the generations of the heaven and earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh made the earth and the heavens. See how detailed Yahweh is in how he wants you to learn and understand his word as a scientist. Also, Genesis, the 5th chapter. Because again, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of this creation. But you won't understand nothing if you don't even understand these very simple words of knowledge. And knowledge is easy to him that understands it. What's so hard to understand about this? Watch this. Genesis, the 5th chapter, starting at the very first verse. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. They want to tell you that a man was created and a man was formed. A man was created and a man was made. No, you can't have these, nothing without these three things. In other words, you can imagine something, but that if you ain't brought nothing, if you ain't wrought nothing, if you ain't worked it to become into reality, it don't mean anything. And then, if you didn't design it, in other words, formed it, so it can be exactly how you want it to be. And Yahweh detailed. He is very detailed about his creation. Watch this in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter. In the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, and we're going to prove all these things. Watch what it says. The 6th verse. And it repented Yahweh that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him to his heart. And Yahweh said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing, the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I've made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahweh. And you want to find grace because that's one of the great sacrifices that Yahweh wants you to make. And the other one is the knowledge of Elohim. So as a scientist, you want to learn how to study things that you yourself and no other man and no other thing created, made, or even formed. You did none of those things. So now it's time for you to sit there and learn how these things was put together. In the book of Isaiah, the 45th chapter, turn there, talking about the science of the scriptures. As I stated before, there's certain things you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to know first and foremost before you even get into his creation. You got to learn the mind of Yahweh. Watch this. In the book of Isaiah, the 45th chapter, Isaiah 45. In the book of Isaiah 45, this is what it says in verse 12. Now watch how detailed Yahweh is. We're going to start at verse 11. And watch this. Thus said Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, and his maker. Ask me of things to come concerning my sons, and concerning the work of my hands, command ye me. And that's what we're speaking about. I have made the earth. He made it. And created man upon it. He didn't just make it. He created man upon it. Even my hands, not the angels, not the spirits, but Yahweh himself have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have I commanded. And not only that, Yahweh will even go into more details even above that. Watch what he says in the 18th verse. For thus is Yahweh that created the heavens, Elohim himself that formed the earth and made it. He have established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. In other words, if Yahweh created this thing, Yahweh made this thing, Yahweh formed this thing, would not Yahweh be the one who could tell you how it looks, how it's shaped, what is it, its purpose? Wouldn't that? And yes, that's exactly what Yahweh did. He not only told us the day he made, he told us how he made it, when he made it, what he made, why he made it, when he made it, and what else? At the point that you got what, when, how, why, What else? What other question can you address? And I'm saying, and I will prove that Yahweh did all three things and he addressed every sound, reasonable, rational question that one will have. See, there's a lot of questions that people have that Yahweh never even spoke of because it is not relevant to your salvation. Watch what the Creator says here. One of the last scriptures I want you to see concerning this is in the book of Psalm 19. And watch what the Creator says. Talking about the science of the scriptures. Watch this. Starting at the very first verse. The heavens declare the glory of Elohim. The firmament showeth his handiwork. And the heavens are the firmament. The firmament was called heaven. Day unto day utter speech. Night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out throughout all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them have he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoices as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. And watch what he continued to say. The law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than the honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, in keeping of them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Yah, my strength and my redeemer. And why did I read this? Because this is how you appeal to the Most High for the knowledge that only he and only he has to reveal to you his creation, the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is there and is. And to our next program, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.